Good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to the very special episode of the Xbox Factor podcast, where we are going to be talking about and giving our top 5 predictions for the May 7th events happening on Thursday. And of course, this is going to be Xbox from top to bottom because it is an Xbox show. And of course, I needed to bring together Xbox and just regular gamers who appreciate the green that we all love, and some people actually worship, which is not good. But anyway, we are going to be talking about Xbox, and I needed to bring in some, paraprofessional podcasters with the skills to match, and I did just that. And of course, we're going to do the introductions right now. First up, you know him as our resident educator, someone that not only has his own Xbox podcast, which is weekly and absolutely fantastic, he somehow or another seems to attract some of the biggest names in gaming to interview. Please welcome Insipid Ghost.
Hey, what's up, Boom? Thank you for having me today, man. I am stoked for this week. The Inside Xbox kicks off Summer Game Fest. Lots of stuff to talk about, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's always a pleasure to work with you. Having you on since, obviously the whole world situation, obviously we wish the world was back to normal. But we have to take what we have and use it to the best of our ability. And having you on these shows has been nothing short of really a very momentous occasion for me personally, because I think that you are very smart and you bring a lot to the table, and I see big things in your podcasting future. Next up, no slouch in any way. You know him as Mr. Badbit, actually one of the fan favorites of the Double Barrel Gaming Network guests that we've had on recently. And he, again, brings a lot to the table, not only with the trophy room, but just his general demeanor and interaction with this outstanding community. Please welcome Mr. Badbit.
I'm working a beat right now. I'm working a case.
All right.
And that is, we're going to find whoever is responsible for the Twitter posts for Xbox 2020, because that startup sound, guys, that is literally someone just put the bass on the PS2 start screen. But you know what? I'm all for it. What's going on, Boo?
Hey, if they can copy our controller, we can copy their sound.
Why not? Why
Good
not?
point.
You know what? I'm going to say this. The one thing that I always stress as a content creator is we are sometimes unfortunate and fortunate when it comes to breaking news. Sometimes we record something and we just miss it. But fortunately, that is not the case today. As a matter of fact, I had written a whole show on top of our top 5 predictions to kind of give us something to talk about, to get the people excited for this week where it's going to be a big Xbox week. And lo and behold, guess what, folks? Breaking news from Xbox.com. And apparently, I'm going to read the press junket so we can get acclimated with what exactly is going on with Xbox. Now, apparently, this program or this event is called Xbox 2020. Now, you want to know what Xbox 2020 is? I'm going to give you the breakdown directly from the press release. So this is what it says. So what's in store for Xbox 2020? Well, this is a monumentous year for Xbox, with our next generation console paving the way for all of our games and services to come together in even better ways. Here is what 2020 is going to look like just to start. Our goal remains to launch the Xbox Series X and Halo Infinite this holiday season. All 15 Xbox Game Studio teams are hard at work on the next generation of games for the Xbox Series X and Xbox Game Pass. The best development teams around the world are working hard to have their games ready to play on Xbox Series X this holiday. For PC players, we plan to support the community by making all of our major releases at launch available with Xbox Game Pass for PC, including Halo Infinite, Wasteland 3, Minecraft Dungeons, and of course, Microsoft Flight Simulator. We have new updates and titles lined up for Xbox Game Pass for console and PC. We're expanding Project xCloud into new countries and on new devices. And later this year, Project xCloud and Xbox Game Pass will become one, come together, enabling you and your friends to play together in more ways than ever imagined. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. And that's just saying something in 2020, which could be summed up as a lot. With all of this in mind, we set our creative new touch points to celebrate gaming and share what's next with our global community. Now, Xbox 2020 is starting on May 7th with the new episode of Inside Xbox. We will be showcasing what happens next in the world of Xbox every month. Again, this is the key words here, folks. We will be showcasing what happens in the world of Xbox every month. Hear those words and just take the validity of it, the weight of what they're saying, which is why we're calling it Xbox 2020. These monthly moments, as they're calling it, will take place throughout the rest of the year and will be a way for us to engage, connect, and celebrate with you about what's in store for the next generation of gaming, including what's next for Xbox Series X, Xbox Game Studios, Xbox Game Pass, and Project xCloud. Every month will bring something different. Stay tuned to Xbox Wire for more details. Now, this is where it starts to get good. For the Xbox 2020 May update, we will focus on giving you a first look at next-gen gameplay, trailers, and sneak peeks from a wide variety of publishing partners and independent developers across the globe and industry, including Ubisoft's recently announced Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and hear from game creators about what they're going to do and what they're doing with their games on Xbox Series X. Mm-hmm. We will be confirming games that utilize our smart delivery feature, which ensure that you always play the best version of the games you own for your console. And this goes across generations. And all of the games you see will be Xbox Series X optimized, meaning they are built to take advantage of the powerful Xbox Series X features that make games look and feel incredible, including 4K resolution and up to 120 frames per second, direct storage, hardware accelerated DirectX Ultimate, ray tracing, super fast loading times, and much more. Now, folks, this is where we get the confirmation, and you should be dancing in the streets because you're going to hear it first on Double Barrel Gaming. In July, we will dedicate time to focus on the incredible games coming from Xbox Game Studios. That's right, folks. Breaking news live on the air. You're going to hear that the July event has been confirmed, just no date. Xbox Wire will be talking about that and releasing that date shortly if it doesn't happen on Thursday at the end of the conference. Now, a number of studio teams are looking forward to sharing first looks at new gameplay, insights from development teams being optimized for Xbox Series X, and brand new game announcements. We cannot wait to share this initial look at what some of the teams are working on. So listen, Luke and Joe, this is a
day to be an Xbox fan, man.
Yeah, well, it's a great day to be an Xbox fan. Quite frankly, this is a lot to unpack. All right, so let's kind of just rewind this back a sec, and let's get your opinion on a few things. First and foremost, regardless, because last night on Primetime Gaming, we went into a particular topic that Phil Spencer went on CNBC. Mm-hmm. I believe it was the Money Watch program. It's usually in the morning. And he talked about real confidently about the Xbox Series X being up to par. Now, we've heard from Reddit, again, folks, this is unconfirmed, that production has already began on the Series X. That started at the end of July. Now, whether that's true or not, folks, I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know. What I can tell you for sure is that the confidence that he portrayed when he was doing this interview seemed very strong. It's when he started talking about the software aspect that was a little, I guess a little funny. Now, that interview happened a couple of days ago. This press junket or release just released. And I got to be honest with you, the more I hear them say that they're working on getting Halo Infinite ready for launch, the more confident I'm starting to believe that this game is going to make it. But that's my opinion. I want to know yours. Luke, we'll start with you. Again, this is going to be a topic that we're going to be on for a bit because there's a lot to unpack, but getting to the hardware and Halo Infinite more specifically being available for launch, how confident that with this recent press release, which was only about an hour ago, that we're going to get it?
I'm fairly confident, I would say. I think that's partly why we're also seeing this set of announcements and them saying that they're going to show their first party information in July. I think that's so that they can really kind of lock down what they can realistically accomplish in that time. If production has already ramped up and is in its throes right now, I think by July they'll have a comfortable idea of what's going to be ready and what's not for their suspected late November release date. So I think I'm confident to say that they've got a good head on their shoulders. They're looking at things objectively, looking at what they can realistically accomplish. I think we'll see Halo Infinite this year. I recognize that Spencer offered caution there, and I appreciate his words, but I don't think it's likely we see Halo Infinite launch in a way that's not available on Series X when it launches, despite their own claims. Otherwise, I think it's an important launch title. So I'm feeling pretty good about seeing it this year, seeing the console this year. To me, they are firing on all cylinders consistently. And if they're willing to have these moments or directs, because I think direct sounds better, throughout every month for the rest of the year, I think we're going to see Microsoft that delivers on a number of things on a number of fronts. Otherwise, they'd be setting themselves up for another PR nightmare of, it's bad news. It's bad news. Oh, it's nothing here. And they'd have Stadia moments, and they know not to do that now.
Yeah. It's funny. I talked about it last night, and I had, there was a piece of me that would be, the word devastated might be too much. Disappointed would be probably the way I would describe my feeling if Halo Infinite missed a launch. But if it was delayed because they couldn't figure it out, or they were in the last, I guess the home stretch of getting the game pressed to disc, and there were things that they just could not work out because of the COVID-19 situation and being forced to work from home instead of in the studio, I don't know how it would be. I don't know. I don't think I'd actually argue that. I would be like, well, you know what? They're looking at the bigger picture. They don't want to release something broken. And you know what? Oh well. We'll get Halo Infinite maybe 3 months after. And I'm still, on the scale, I'm kind of like going back and forth. I mean, disappointment, understanding, disappointment. I'm not sure how I feel, but I want to get Joe's opinion on this. But before I do, I have to thank a very good friend of the show, Crazy Mate Gaming, with the outstanding and very generous $10 super chat. And he says this: I just finished last night's live show, and now I get a live show. I love it. Thank you, Boom, for making my workday better. I look forward to listening to your shows every day. Keep up the great work. Well, dude, let me tell you something. First of all, thank you for your generosity. But more importantly, thank you for just listening to the show. I mean, as great as the super chats are, and trust me when I tell you, they help financially. Believe you me, just having people say things like that are worth it, their weight in gold. Honestly, hearing some of the messages. Now, of course, you do get some nasty ones, and that's life. The bigger you get, from what I understand, the more nasties come out towards you. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't get a lot of them. I did get one last week that was a little bit perplexing. Now, it wasn't so much that it was nasty, and I, of course, will never say who it was. But I will say that I thought it was interesting to kind of just throw this out there, and just a word of advice for anyone looking to comment on anyone's work, not just mine, but I mean, just anyone's work. I had someone write me not just a paragraph, but a complete epilogue of how I was ruining my own show by asking a particular question to a panel of 6 people multiple times, and that I should take his, professional criticism to heart, and that it would better the show. Now, I'm going to say this, folks. I am all up for being criticized. If I do something or I make a bad show, believe you me, I beat myself up for it. There's times where I'll walk away from a show that was fantastic and think it sucked because I'm very hard on myself. But I just want to throw this out there. If you are going to comment, you can criticize, but, use your head, man. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't understand that 10 to 15 hours, at least for me, go into preparing 3 shows. Now I've added a 4th show. Just imagine, it's almost 20 hours of production values behind the scenes. And this is all free content. You're not required to pay a dime. You can show up here every day, every episode, and don't even say anything and just listen and enjoy yourself. So, just be courteous. If you want to leave an opinion or a point, just be courteous. Let me just say that. But you know what? Let's get back to what we're all here to talk about, and that's gaming. And Mr. Badbit, I want to get your opinion on this, and I'm very interested because both me and Luke, we are diehard gamers, but we're diehard Xbox gamers. We're not afraid to talk about it. Mm-hmm, but I want to know your opinion because you are a PlayStation first guy. But with that said, you respectfully talk about gaming, and which is why I believe you have become such a big fan favorite. Halo is Xbox. Xbox is Halo. End of story. You can say what you want about Forza, you can say what you want about Marcus Phoenix and any other IP they have, but Halo is Xbox. For you, looking from the outside in, I know that they want this game to launch. They promised that this game was launching, but they just didn't realize that this was, COVID-19 was going to happen. What are your thoughts on the potential delay? And if it was delayed because it wasn't ready, are you okay with that?
Yeah. Good game's good, man. Like, I think if anything, I think the launch of the Switch has taught us, and I think we're going to see it from Microsoft and PlayStation, that you don't need all, and let's be real, gang. Let's all be realistic here. Okay, because I'm sick of this Rise was a good game nonsense. We always see these games where it's just like we have 5 launch games, and all they are for the most part, they may be good in the moment, but all they are at the end of the day is like, fill in tech BS. Like, I don't want to scratch and sniff my controller for Killzone Shadowfall. I don't want to do it, right? Like, Knack, I don't even know. He's just a meme. Like, we don't need that those at the end of the day kind of entry level experiences. What we do need are those big tentpole titles that really actually go, this is the reason why you're playing.
Yes, I agree.
Even if it's just one game. And I think, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild proved that. Like, this is what, with one game. And I remember coming up to the launch of this console, everybody was mocking the launch lineup of this console. That game was a testament of what the Nintendo Switch was all about. Uncompromised gameplay, no matter if you're handheld or at home. So for me, the Xbox Series X, whether that game is Halo, which I hope it is. Luke and I have been replaying the whole gosh dang series, and I'm hyped for it. But if I learn tomorrow that Halo Infinite is getting delayed, well then good. I don't. Again, developers need time. Great.
And it's got to be the right. It's the right reason to delay. If they need to fix something and make it, they've got to make it a banger. Yeah, they've got to make it hardcore. It can't have the.
Well, it certainly can't release with clipping issue. I put it this way: if it releases in any form where it's broken, whether that be online or single player, it's going to be disastrous.
It needs to be. It needs to not have a lukewarm reception. Halo 5 had some great things to it and some frustrating things to it. It needs to hit on all cylinders, as we've said. And one thing that I think we forget is that you can have a launch window. It doesn't need to be day one. Launch window.
Yeah, well, a launch window for a console is 90 days after its release. That's that give or take launch window that we're talking about, where it's kind of open but kind of closed, and those 3 months is what would be considered, Luke, what you were saying. And would it be that big of a deal if it launched 45 days after, 50 days after, 90 days after? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not going to be disappointed, because of course I'm going to be disappointed. But if it's for the reason of giving us the best product possible, then I have to take a step back and say, you know what, take all the time you need.
Exactly.
It's got to be a good game. It's just got to be a good game.
Yeah, I think the pressure that Microsoft has kind of put on itself is, hey, this is the first Halo game since the original that's launching with the console.
Yes.
They made that a huge deal. And when we hear they spent over $500 million making this game, that applies an expectation to it that 343 needs to meet. So for me, if it's delayed, whatever. I don't even care if it's delayed a whole year. I don't care. I got so many games I still need to play. So that's fine. It just needs to be really good to match what they've been marketing this game as. Which, that was their problem with Halo 5 was mixed up or higher expectations, right? Or these expectations that were untenable. So yeah, I think if the next Xbox comes out and it's like, hey, listen, Halo's coming out in February, but right now we got Fable and Fable looks freaking awesome, then you're not really going to care. And then at the same exact time, I think that the strength to both PS5 and Xbox Series X is they're both going to be launched with good games, whether it's first party or third party. Like Valhalla looks sick. It looks awesome. Can't wait to play it myself. Like whatever WB's coming out with this year is gonna be nuts. So there are still going to be great games to be played on these consoles. And at the same exact time, the hardcore, the people that are listening, the people that are talking on this podcast, we're all gonna buy this console whether Halo's day one or not.
Yes, without a doubt.
So for me, I'm not concerned. I think they've talked about it enough, saying that it's going to launch at the launch, that it will launch at the launch. I think, though, them saying July is giving all their development studios that they have time to give a date.
Yeah, they're locking down timetables. That's exactly what they're doing.
It's funny you should say that. I want to roll right into that, because I think that is probably the biggest piece of news. We're going to get into what it means monthly. We're also going to get into the July, but I have to just catch up on some of these super chats, and I want to thank another channel member, Brandon Harmon. Has become a channel member. Here comes the boom. Thank you so much for that. That's greatly appreciated, my friend. Pixelbit G, a good friend of the show. Thank you for being here, dude. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. Xbox has just announced a massive update on their plans. Google Xbox 2020 or go to news. Yeah, so we're talking about that right now. Thank you for the info, because this would have been breaking news if we didn't know. And this was Luke sent me something. D Black Raven also sent me something. So this community is really on point of giving the information. So thank you for that. Brandon Hallman once again shows his generosity. He drops a $2 super chat, says, I love your podcast, Mr. Boom. You have me as a friend. Well, dude, that's really nice of you, brother. And you have me as a friend as well. It's very kind of you to say, and I'm glad you are enjoying the programs, because you know what? I freaking love doing them. Sin Vendetta, another big fan of the show. Thank you for your generosity. He drops a $5 super chat and says this, Mr. Badbit, I will say that if they announce Rise 2, I flip out with joy. I love Rise. You know what? Listen, I'm going to say this. I love Rise. I think that the lore, the characters, the world, the graphics still are incredible. Man, it would be pretty epic to have that as one of those second party deals or whatever. We'll see. Brandon Harmon once again drops another $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, Mr. Boom, loved your podcast. Well, thank you very much. Aiden Williams, another friend of the show. Thank you, Aiden, for being here. But also, showing your generosity of $10. He says, "What's up, Boom? I'm playing Arkham Knight right now.
That's my boy.
Yeah, what a fantastic game! One of my favorite games this gen. What's your opinion on Rocksteady maybe being the Series X shown, and will it be a Batman game?" We're going to go into our predictions, and quite frankly, I think you're going to be quite happy with what I have as my number one pick. But let's reel this back in as we close in at 350 people already here watching it. Thank you so much. I want to say two things. One, if you're new to the program, we accept everyone, regardless of what flag you fly. We are a welcoming show. This is a welcoming chat. And I say to you, I hope that you're here and you enjoy yourself. And of course, if you are already a fan of what I do, I would politely request that you hit the like button. Trust me, it's not like getting a shot. It doesn't hurt when you press it. It would greatly help to get this channel into bigger pools, to get more eyes and ears onto the podcast. Just don't mail me your ears, please. But you know what? Let's get back to the seriousness of the show. The July event confirmed. Now, we knew that, for a while, we've been hearing that they were going to have two digital events, right? One was going to be third party and worldwide partners, right? And that was the one that's coming next, this Thursday. I'll say next Thursday. And we knew that they were doing a second event. Now, there were a lot of people, and I will agree and, of course, politely disagree with some of the opinions that this might have been a misstep from Microsoft having two shows. But I have heard from inside sources, which will remain nameless, and I do have one or two, not a lot, not big ones, but big enough where I get the info when I ask. Microsoft has so much in the pipeline, and I think I said this last night, that they had to split it into two shows. That's how much content they have. And what's interesting, and the thought process behind this Thursday show, was to get out in front and say, okay, here are our marketing deals. Here are our second party exclusives with worldwide partners. Oh, and P.S., by the way, you're going to get an entire event dedicated to only Xbox first party games. And what this does, Luke, is it completely wipes away any film from the glass that says, well, is this an exclusive? Is it not an exclusive? Everything is going to be broken down for you. The confirmation. I have actually two questions for you. For one, do you agree with the two-tier reveals being two digital events, one for third party and worldwide partners, and of course their own digital event for Xbox exclusive first party games? And more importantly, are you happy that it's coming in July?
Oh, yes, on both accounts, absolutely. It's a great thing that Microsoft is able to talk to third parties and say, we will give you the spotlight in an all eyes on us presentation. We'll give you the spotlight for your game, even if it's not exclusive. Now, we don't know if there will be any third party exclusives, but we do know we'll see Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which will be on multiple systems. We know that Microsoft has locked down the marketing for that game, as well as locked down marketing on Cyberpunk. I think Elden Ring, they also have one as well. The idea that they're going to say, hey, we'll create a show and dedicate it to covering your game, that demonstrates that they're willing to work with third-party partners on perhaps a level that they were missing in this last gen, or that maybe was simply went under the radar. Once the narrative was set for last gen, no matter what they did, it just didn't seem to catch up. So I'm excited by that. And the fact that they have enough content from their own Xbox game studios to create their own show once they've locked down some dates is also exciting. Yes. Now, expect that you'll have 2 to 3 games per show that you're really into, and quite a few games that you're not, because as we've talked about on this show before, and Bit and I and you have talked about it, you can't love every game, but expect that you should walk away from each presentation liking or interested in more than one of the games shown. And you cannot bet your bottom dollar a lot of the games that you see are going to be available in Game Pass, meaning that you don't need to break $1 to have it. So, yes, I'm ecstatic for both. I'm excited to see what we launch. I don't know if we'll predict anything in a bit, But I think it's a great and smart choice, particularly given the timing, because those third parties are going to show up later on in Summer Game Fest. Some on Sony stage, some on EA Play, some on their own presentations. So why not start them off with Xbox being the mindset? Good choice.
Yeah, great points. Mr. Badbit, I want to bring you back into the conversation. Now, I see the chat going back and forth. Some people are for this plan. Other people are like, well, you should have shown first-party games first.
Nah.
But you know what? Here's the thing. There are two strategic ways to look at this. You have to understand from a business perspective and point of view that these third-party and second-party developers are starting to get antsy because June is coming. And usually when June is coming, right now they're usually finalizing their plans for what they're going to show off at E3. Well, guess what? There's no E3. There is Summer Games Fest, thanks to Jeff Keighley, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get your game to a gazillion eyes. Whereas a show from Sony, a show from Microsoft, more specifically, you're going to get eyes on it. So Microsoft has probably, had these deals in place because, like we talked about, their aggressive behavior in locking down these big marketing deals, Cyberpunk for one, Assassin's Creed for the other, Elden Ring for the third, which we almost guaranteed that's a locked in deal. And who else knows what they have up their sleeves? Mm-hmm. is a big deal. Getting these third party and second party developers to show the top running, because you got to remember, they just said it in that press junket.
Yeah,
this is going to be the Xbox Series X version running for us to see this Thursday. So you're going to get the best maximum version, the PC level version on your home console. What this does, Joe, is it allows Microsoft. Now think about this for a second. May 7th to whenever, and I'm going to assume that it's probably going to be early July as well. I don't know if that's the 5th, the 6th, or the 7th, whatever. I have to look and see when we're going to get a Thursday, the first Thursday in July. But it gives their first-party teams 60-plus days to really put the nose to the grindstone and make sure that what they're going to show off is going to blow our effing minds off. Do you agree with this approach?
No, absolutely. I think this is the approach you want as an aggressive Xbox. I was just thinking about this before we started the show, that Sony seems to be using the same playbook from 2013, and it's an effective playbook, man. Like it works, sure, but we've seen Xbox go, okay, let's start from scratch. Let's do something different. I first want to set expectations very, very low here. Because I get it. I'm the anti-YouTuber where I feel like we do a really bad job of setting expectations. So level it out here. Why does Xbox want to do this other than just promote the Series X or whatever they have? They have still a lot to say. They have a Lockhart to also sell to you as well, if you're not sold into the price tag of the Series X. So they have to have this little juggling act of what the series, we're going to just call it S, is, why it's there, why it exists, and why you don't need to worry if you're a Series X person. Those are three questions it needs to ask or answer in less than 7 to 8 months. That's not a lot of time. So you need to nail that out ASAP.
Yes.
You also want to show the power of this console, and you also have what you stated earlier, all these promotional plans right now. Boom and I, we were talking on the phone yesterday. Right now, publishers are demanding Sony and Xbox show stuff because they need to show stuff, but they also need they also need that Xbox and PlayStation money. So that's why they're pressuring. This event is solely for third parties. Is that third parties want to show their damn games already? So I would not be surprised in a week from now we also get a PlayStation third-party state of play for the PS5 and PS4. So that's why this event is here. Also, those events that are going to be month to month, also understand that we're not getting a E3 every single month, right? We are getting a small show dedicated to possibly 3
Yeah, I'm saying
games.
2 or 3 games. That's what I'm imagining.
And you're going to have the devs talking about it and also selling you on the tech, because that's way more important. So we can kind of see that Xbox is piecemealed their E3 instead of just replacing it, where they're going to take sections of it out and put it for each month. And this gives Microsoft the flexibility to really get PlayStation to name the price first. That's what Microsoft wants at the end of the day. Because I think this gives them the absolute flexibility to announce that price in August. Like
That's a smart move. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously in August. Well, I mean,
August is too late. That means it's bad news. Bad news is August. July is a good time.
Think about it like this. July, I mean, preferably I'd like it today. But when you have companies nowadays, you know, again, I'm not thinking back of 2013. I'm thinking like Apple will straight up announce a phone, 2 weeks later release that phone to the public, and it's you know, $1,000 price tag. So I think people are more not welcome to the idea, but people understand, you know, the price tags, and we already kind of know what the price tag sort of kind of is. We have the ballpark range, you know, everybody and their mother saying 500. So Xbox is kind of sitting there seeing like, you know, okay, so people think it's 500. If PlayStation announced that their console is 400, it gives their analysts time to see, well, if we have our console at 500, does that actually hurt us? Or even like PlayStation announces their console's 500, and then, you know, Xbox will go, okay, we can launch ours at 500 too, and we'll just literally market them out of the water, saying that ours is the most powerful, more capable, more consumer friendly, and that will edge out, you know, PlayStation's price. So like there are multiple factors there.
If they market based on power, that doubles down on the reasoning why they have a third party.
Exactly. That's a great point. That is a fantastic point. Yes.
Because the Xbox Game Studios, they have an install base. They've got an install base with Game Pass. They've got to sell these third-party games as being best on Xbox, because it certainly didn't do what it needed to do with the One X, and they've got to really show why I need to play my third parties on a Series X. And they've already said, I think it was Greenberg that came out and said it. It could be somebody else. But they've come out and said that everything you see on Thursday will be optimized for Series X. That was
Greenberg. You're correct on that. Yes. Okay. That was Aaron Greenberg that said that. Yes. So, you know, I want to interject something here that I want to, you know, kind of pass around the table and check and get the chat's opinion. Actually, first, let me just thank Enrique, the lovely voice from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He drops very generous $5 super chat and says this: boom, I am excited about the high level of communication, all things Xbox, especially during this time, where it's nice to hear some positive news. Jesus, man, that's an understatement of the year. It is so nice to actually kind of just pull yourself away. I mean, look, we can all turn on the news and be just beaten over the head on how horrible the world is, how terrible have people. I mean, some of the stories that I have read of people. There was a story, and I don't want to get off too subject because we're here to have fun, but there was someone dressed as a nurse. Listen to this disgustingness. Dressed as a nurse, stealing packages off of people's porches. I mean, wow. You know, if they only took a quarter of the brain cells required to come up with that scheme, to do right by it, to do right by their community, it would be incredible. But unfortunately, that is the world. But you know what? Getting back to what Enrique was saying, yes, it is very nice to have some positive gaming news. And I think that for the next couple of months, regardless of what happens with the world, we're all gonna, if we can just pull ourselves away from real world antics for a bit, this is going to be a good way to do it. But here's my introduction.
Yeah.
One of the key marketing mastermind moves, that's a lot of M's right there, that Sony pulled off this generation was telling people that a game was coming onto their console, but somehow making it seem as if it was exclusive. Do you know how many people I had write to me and said, "Boom, you don't know what you're talking about. This is an exclusive for, PlayStation 4." And I'm like, no, that's not, it's a multiplat. But they fooled the people with great marketing. Microsoft, in my opinion, have pulled a page right out of Sony's playbook, and that is the major reason why third-party games are going first, because they're going to tell you what new games are coming out, and you're going to equate those new high-powered looking games running at maximum performance on the Series X as being Xbox games, even though in the back of your mind you're going to know that they're third party, they're multi-plats, but you're going to say, well, I kind of want my game to look like that right there, which means that they could sell more consoles. What do you guys, what are your thoughts on that? Mr. Bibbit, I'll start with you first.
I think Microsoft saved a lot of money this generation in terms of not doing the third-party deals that Sony did, or kind of stopping mid-generation and kind of understanding what they had, right? Like they're like, okay, well, we're not going to waste, like, for example, The Witcher 3, right? We're not going to waste millions of dollars on that marketing deal if, 70% of the games sold are on PlayStation. Just spitballing. I know it's just a lot. It outsold it heavily on PlayStation. We don't want to do PlayStation's marketing for them. So this opportunity here, and that's why they stopped, right? This opportunity here, though, is different because the way Microsoft sees it, and I think the way that we see it as gamers is, okay, slate's clean. What are you doing for me lately in terms of console manufacturers, right? Because we're all fickle. We're all I jump to whoever's rewarding me the best with experiences I can't get anywhere else, right? I was a Nintendo kid, then I was an Xbox boy, and now I'm a PlayStation man. But all that can change this generation. So when it comes to consumers, we're all fickle, and we all should be fickle. So what Microsoft's saying here is, okay, here's our deals. Let us do the marketing. Like Assassin's Creed is a first party title for Xbox. Let's do the marketing for Cyberpunk so that we get it in the realm that the best place to play is on our console, and the future is the best place to play on Xbox. So to me, this is just Microsoft going, all right, now the gloves are off. We saved so much money on all these marketing deals. Let's start telling people about why this not Xbox Series X, not Xbox Series S, not Xbox One, why the Xbox platform is the best place to play. Because you see that a lot, right? So they're nailing smart delivery constantly because they want you to know that their ecosystem going forward is pointing in the future.
Yeah,
So,
it's built for consumer friendliness, and yes, you buy the game once. Don't worry, you're going to get the best version of that game. Very smart.
The slate's clean, and now they're just going, all right, let's be aggressive, and you're going to see aggressive Microsoft. You're going to see maybe, who knows, whenever Sony and Mark Cerny, watch your ears, you'll see a aggressive Sony when it comes to first party deals until there is a clear victor from either side, and then. Yeah, you'll just see the dominoes fall where they lay.
It's going to be interesting, Luke. I want to grab your ear. I don't want it. I just want to grab it for a second. But
I'll send it to you.
Oh well, that's very kind of you. But you need it for your, you
I got to send it to Mark. Yeah,
let me just catch up on some of the super chats. First of all, a very good friend of the show, JD Gamer, drops an outstanding, very generous $5 super chat and says this statement and theory. August just means Xbox waited Sony out to have a drop the mic moment. If Microsoft drops the Xbox Series X at $399, I don't think Lockhart launches. Look, I think what you're saying, if I put it to this way, if they drop that console to $400, that is going to be value proposition times 1,000. I just don't see it. What I see happening, in all jokes aside, is a $499 Series X, a $299 Series S, and a $499 PS5. I don't think they're going to do $449. I don't think they're going to do $399. I don't think that they personally and financially right now in the world that we're living in can afford $100+ per console loss. It's literally and feasibly impossible. I would even say financially impossible for Sony. Now, I'm not saying Microsoft is any better. They are a richer company for sure, and they don't want to take a loss. But I believe that they're willing to eat a little bit, maybe that that $25, $35 realm, give or take, per console. And I think that for the money that they bring in just on Game Pass alone, they can afford to do that. Sony, you got to remember here, the only piece of Sony that's making money for them right now is the gaming division. They're making money hand over fist. So let me just continue with the super chats, and we'll get to Luke's point. Squirrely Dan 82 drops a very generous $2 super chat. Thank you for being here, Squirrely. I really appreciate it. He says, news: Xbox has 1 year exclusive on all third-party mic drop. Wow, that would be more than a mic drop. That would be internet crashing. Eagles fan 76. Hey, dude, thank you for being here. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: I think it's also important to market with TVs. Yes, great point. Optimized for the Series X. That is why pricing out by July is important. People need to save money. That is a very strong point. And JD Gamer once again shows his generosity with another $5 super chat and says this: I hope that Jeff Keighley doesn't pull one of his "so it's a timed exclusive," right, when we can expect to see it on the PS5. None of that nonsense. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Jeff is important for this industry. I respect what he does. I appreciate his dedication to the craft. I, though, have to sometimes say that he does disappoint me with some of the things that he does. It does seem one way, like a one-way kind of a situation. I don't like what he does sometimes, like he did with the Xbox One X, $499 right before Microsoft went out there. I'm not a big fan of that. Hopefully Jeff doesn't have any of those cringe-worthy moments this year. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast drops an additional $2 super chat. Thank you for your generosity, Enrique. He says, correcting Mr. Badbit, PC best place to play games. PC Master Race.
If it's so good, where's PC 2?
Oh my God. Sin Vendetta once again drops another $2 super chat. Thank you for your generosity, my brother. He said, just heard that the Xbox boot up and goosebumps. Yeah, is that real? Is that the real thing? Because I saw the Xbox thing pop on. Mm-hmm. I have to listen to it again, and if it is, goosebumps will be enabled. Oh yes, we have another channel member. Wow, 2 in 1 show. This is an epic day. Elad Shmolvich, thank you, dude. He's a Patreon supporter, and
I've seen him on Twitter. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming over.
He's a good friend of the show, and I wanted but P.S. by the way, all the way from Israel, by the way. Ooh. So yes, Double Barrel Gaming going worldwide. Thank you for that, dude. I super appreciate it. And one just came in by Spider-Man, another big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of his. He drops a $10 super chat and says this: whether Jeff knew about the XSX reveal or not at the award show, you can't deny he had an underwhelming response. Yes, I agree 100% to reveal, but act as if he was going to die when Godfall was revealed for the PS5. Listen, folks.
Can I weigh in on Jeff when you're done?
Please weigh in on Jeff.
I will make everyone in this chat mad, and I'm fine with it. Bring it. If you think Jeff Keighley is not important to gaming and to the brand, then you are kidding yourselves. He is extremely important. He is
absolutely important. Yes.
He not single-handedly, but he is the front man for rallying the entire game industry around Summer Game Fest, where he's getting everybody on board.
Yes,
his award shows brought all of them out on stage. And one thing that I do not like about any community solo, and everybody write in and get mad appropriately, it is absolutely silly that you are occupied with one person liking or disliking your brand. It is Xbox's job to court these people and to bring them into the fold. It is not your job as a fan. It is not your job in chat rooms. It's Microsoft's job, and Phil Spencer has said that before. It's not the Internet Warriors' jobs to worry about stock shares. Let him worry about that. We worry about games. Right. My prediction, one of the predictions that I will just bluntly state outright, is that Jeff Keighley is mentioned by name during Microsoft's Inside Xbox. And that is designed, I believe that, because he is important to building relationships. He can like whatever he likes. That is fine and dandy.
Yeah, well, it's also his opinion. But I will say this, though. We do have to remember that, and I'll get to some of these super chats that bring up some good points. But listen, it was a reason, Luke, that he publicly removed himself from E3. Shortly after that, I Am 8-Bit, that did all the design work for E3, pulled out. Coincidentally or not, they are working together on Summer Game Fest.
Sure.
This very well.
He's important.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and vilifying him, I don't think is a logical response.
You know what? Let me tell you something. I will say, I'll say
I'm
this.
a dude. We're all dudes.
Well, no. I'll say this to defend Luke's point. First of all, I've never had the opportunity to meet Jeff. I will say this.
I have some.
If I had the opportunity, I would shake his hand and thank him, because even though he might not say and do everything I want him to say and do, and that's perfectly great, because he's not a wind-up toy. He's a person. But at the same time, you have to tip your cap to a guy that has been in this industry for 20 plus years. And he not only has unbelievable influence within the gaming, Luke actually touched on the point. He has rallied the entire industry. Understand how hard that has to be to get everybody together to line up and say, okay, we're all going to work together for a common goal, is to get our wares out there. Understand the monstrous task that it took to have that happen, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I've met him in real life. Can I just say this?
Please go right ahead.
Real talk. I met him PAX East 2018 or 2019 rather. I walked up. I'm like, I passed by him. I was like, he's in the lobby. He's waiting for something, and I'm just like, is that Jeff Keighley? I don't know if I should shake his hand. I'm not like, I don't know the guy. Fine. I walk over. I'm like, hey, are you Jeff Keighley? He's just like, and he's like texting on his phone, and he literally is just like, yeah, I'm Jeff Keighley. What's up? What's going on, man? You know my work? And I'm just like, yeah, I just want to thank you for all the things you do for the whole video game.
That's nice. That's a great story.
And trying to, get this medium as big as the Oscars. I appreciate that greatly, and I appreciate that it's not a monkey with popcorn anymore. And he laughed his ass off, shook my hand, softest hands I've ever felt in my life. Softer than my goddamn mother's. This man has never held a hammer in his life.
You know what? You know why he's never held a hammer? Because he doesn't need to. He pays for someone to hold his hammer. Now, I don't want you to take that in a very nasty way. I'm just saying that he pays people to do his work, and good also, on him for that.
Also, yeah, you can see like that. As publicist to publicist, he did not see that Xbox reveal coming. And the reason why he was very excited for Godfall, remember, he's a publicist first and foremost.
He is. Yes.
He literally just said to this company and Sony, hey, reveal your stuff here. That's something he knew about. So he is enthusiastic about that game for a reason, for future relations. So it's not because he thinks Godfall is going to be the latest and greatest. He's just very happy that he himself had now 2 next gen reveals on his show, because that then cements his show as important.
Yeah,
so
100%,
that's why he's excited.
Xbox will say his name during their presentations. They need it, and
their job too. Further, Phil they will kiss.
Well, hopefully, if they do, that's great. I say embrace whatever you enjoy. That's what I say. I say live and let live, damn it. But you know what? what I want to do is this. I want to move on to a topic that I was originally going to skip, but people are asking for it. So I kind of want to touch on it, and then we're going to go into our predictions. But before I do that, as we close in on 500 people live in the chat, which is amazing, I have to catch up on the outstanding generosity of this amazing community. Rain G4 drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this. Should gamers upgrade to the new console if they don't have a 4K TV? You know, here's the thing. I'm going to say this. If you can get the new console, I think you have to get it because of the world we're living in, and shortages are going to be a problem. I think that you still will notice a tremendous difference in the way the game is run. How much of a difference? I honestly am not a tech dude. I can't say, but I am going to say that as the world starts to come back, right? As we start to shop a little bit more, that's not for stupid toilet paper, hand sanitizer, or Clorox wipes, and we actually start buying things that we like, you're going to see a massive sale on stuff like electronics, especially like big TVs. And, you know, maybe you don't have the money for a 70-inch. Okay, that's fine. Get yourself a nice 43-inch TV with HDR and all the bells and whistles. And I guarantee you, dude, you're going to be like, you know what? Boom was right. I only paid $380, $480 for this TV, and I was still able to get the console of my choice. That's how I would play that up. Elemental P.O., who's a good friend of the show, thank you for being here. As always, drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this. Do you think we will see more third-party Japanese announcements for Series X? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I think we're getting 2 of them at the event on Thursday. Keelhole drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says this. Boom, I'm worried. Jeff Keighley will have too much influence with the Games Awards and the Summer Showcase, basically replacing E3 maybe permanently. I don't know,
if
man.
If that's the case, somebody else should rise up to challenge it.
Someone should rise.
No one else has done.
Yes, yes. In fact, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast drops another $5 super chat. Oh, thank you for your generosity, Enrique. He says Keeley is the D. Clark of gaming. He has brought a lot of goodwill and exposure to a hobby that was once chastised to where it's acceptable. Yeah, listen, real talk. And I get that from Mr. Badbit. He says that a lot, and I appreciate that because now I have used the tagline real talk. I'm going to actually get a T-shirt, so don't proceeds will go to you, Joe. Don't worry.
I expect. When
I was a rookie police officer back in 1994, the job was packed with dinosaurs, and I'm talking about guys that had 15 years and higher. So I'm coming in, you know, and I'm the rookie scum, right? Nobody likes the rookies, and I don't know why that is, but that's just the way the culture was back then. And I got to tell you, man, did they break my balls when they found out I was a gamer? Because it was taboo back then. You know, everyone was into the drinking and going to the bars and punching each other and all kinds of stupid things like that. Whereas here's this guy. He's 22-year-old coming out of the academy. I have no fear written, spray painted on my bulletproof vest, almost unheard of. I should have known that I was going to get roused just for having balls of steel like that. But when they found out that I was a gamer, they used to, I mean, even at roll call, hey, the kid over there, don't give him an assignment. He's too busy playing his Atari, you know, stupid things like that. So it is great to know that gaming has become such an event and such a commonplace talking point where if you are a gamer nowadays, especially in the NYPD, if you're not a gamer, I think they consider you weird. I think everybody games, and it's certainly much better than drinking. But you know what? Enough of that shenanigans. We're here to talk games, and I want to move on to the next topic, which I have not been keeping show notes, and I will get scolded on my old channel by somebody. So let me just catch up with writing down what we're about to do. 58 minutes in, we're talking about some Microsoft first-party games, one in particular. Now, if there's one of the most asked questions, gentlemen, by anybody for this entire 7-year generation and probably moving forward, and I believe it has been at the forefront of most gaming media questions, is what games are coming to Microsoft's next generation and what plans are going to be, showing us. And, one of the 15 first-party studios making headlines recently has been Rare. Now, what they would be bringing to the party, I think, is going to be monumental in a way that no one is giving them credit. Like, when you think of Rare, some people will equate them to, of course, Banjo-Kazooie or Conker, right? Or, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, right? No, but some people will say, well, the underwhelming and flawed at launch Sea of Thieves. Now, I don't play Sea of Thieves. It's just not my bag. But I have to give them credit because, my God, they have been supporting this game tenfold, and the amount of content that has gone into that. There are millions of people playing it, and there's a good reason for it because Rare is talented. Well, we're not talking about Sea of Thieves. We're not talking about Zombies Ate My Neighbors or even Banjo-Kazooie, even though I want to talk about Banjo-Kazooie. We're going to be talking about Everwild. And it was a topic that was supposed to be talked about and discussed in length last night. But guess what? We got a little long in the tooth on a couple of conversations, and I saved it and moved it forward to this morning's Xbox program. Now, I'm going to say a name, and you're going to immediately equate who it goes to. Clobriel, who is considered one of the Xbox insiders, even though he himself doesn't consider him to be one, actually just unveiled some pretty interesting and tantalizing information. Now, Everwild was first unveiled at XO19, and it went, and that show was live November 14th of 2019. And since then, many in the Xbox community have been wondering when we'd get a chance to actually play the new cel-shaded fantasy adventure game that some are claiming that it's going to be like Breath of the Wild. It's just done in Rare's style. Well, thanks to Clobriel's latest tweet, we might be playing this finished version a lot sooner than anyone has anticipated. And here is a tweet directly from Clobriel's official Twitter account. It seems like Everwild, the new IP from Rare, has been in the works for nearly 3+ years. It apparently started June 2017. While this is absolutely will include pre-production, that is much longer than I personally expected the game to be. Now, he thanks someone by the name of Sama Ging for the tip. Now, this information, I did a little bit more digging. And Louise O'Connor is apparently heading up this project. And I went to her official LinkedIn page, and this is where the detecting started. And this is what it said, according to her official LinkedIn page. It says, Rare Limited, total duration working for Rare, 8 years. Title executive producer on Everwild, full-time employee, dates employed June 17th to present, which implies that she has been working on this game for 3 years. It says employment duration, 3 years. And it finishes up with saying, excited to be leading a team of creative, talented people focused on creating the next incredible and extremely special new IP from Rare Limited. Now, I'm going to say this. Color me stoked, ladies and gentlemen, because quite frankly, a lot of people were wondering whether this game was 2 years out, 5 years out. Luke, I want to go to you first. Getting confirmation that Rare has been hard at work at Everwild, that apparently includes pre-production, says that this game might be coming sooner than later. And what are your thoughts on the rumors of this being a quote-unquote Breath of the Wild type game just done with Rare's goodness?
I have a lot of mixed responses on that one because, well, I want to hear it from them before I commit to like strong feelings. I think I want to know how long it's truly been in production from them. Like, when did they start? I want to hear them talk about this a bit more because right now I think a lot of the Breath of the Wild associations are coming from its art style, and that is not necessarily indicative of gameplay. If it's a game on that level, then I will be ecstatic, but I'm trying to temper my expectations because I have grown to love Sea of Thieves, but I was underwhelmed at launch.
Yes.
Rare was working with Delilah Studios and making Battletoads, and that is at the moment
A
MIA.
mess.
But yeah, we thought
Yes,
they would
it's
be
a
out,
mess.
and they're not. So stifled, I think, is the right way to put my reactions to this. I know Clobriel's reported some good stuff. There's also been some stuff in error, so I'm curious to see where we land once we find out the info. So I would argue that I'm very tempered in my reactions because I don't know how the Xbox community would respond if it was a Breath of the Wild-esque. I know I'd love it. Shoot.
Oh, dude, I think they would respond in kind, dude. I mean, listen, Breath of the Wild in its current state right now is still one of the best games on that console. Now, it may
Agreed.
not have been your bag because of breakable weapons. Now, I'm gonna be quite frank. When I first started playing, I was like, man, breakable weapons. I don't know. Let me tell you something. Not only did that completely move away from just the unbelievable adventure I had, I could have become a full-time chef because all I did was cook in that game, damn it.
Mhm.
And you know what? If they could bring a world like that and give us the ability of Rare's whimsical goodness that we know that they can do, my God, that would be absolutely amazing. I think that more people than you're giving credit would jump on this bandwagon.
And bravo too. I mean, I'm 120 hours plus into Breath of the Wild. I love
Me too.
that game.
Yeah, I'm over 100 hours. It's crazy.
So don't misunderstand. I just very seriously, I am very tempered on my reactions to this because we don't have confirmed factual information from the source. That's the part that I'm trying to temper in my mind.
Right.
And I think we're associating Breath of the Wild because of the art style, which is beautiful. And goodness gracious, can imagine that in Xbox Series X. Woo. But I'm just waiting for info on Everwild because they've got such a mixed track record there.
Yeah.
You know what? Everything you said is right on point. And for all we know, we could get confirmation in July exactly what this game is, when we can expect it, and how close to Breath of the Wild is it? Is it a Breath of the Wild game with some multiplayer packed in? Can we play? Can you, me, could you, me, and Mr. Badbit jump on Xbox Live and just do a trio adventure in the world of Everwild? That sounds dope. But I also
how big this game is.
That's another great question.
Like it could be more of a AA scope because like I'm right there with Luke. I'm
well, yeah. Bring the conversation into the mix here. What are your thoughts on the fact that we have some detective skills from both Clobriel and myself saying that this is saying, according to her LinkedIn, hey, by the way, this might be in production or even pre-production, and they're full-blown production 3 years later. Could we get this sooner than we thought? So, what are your thoughts on Everwild from Rare? I mean, it is a new IP.
Yeah, it's new. It's beautiful. I'm gonna say a couple of things. First off, for the question before, if you don't have a 4K TV, just hold off. You don't need to buy a new console. Don't worry. Again, Microsoft said they're going to support this console 1 or 2 years after the fact or whatever. It's not going to be a necessity yet, so don't worry about it. You got worry. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Secondly, when it comes to this Rare stuff, I need more info. Still, even that, like, you don't want to market your thing as necessarily like a Zelda clone of any sort. You kind of want it. To me, it doesn't. I love the art style. I know, like, it got some shit because people said it's cartoony because they're stupid. But like, this looks like cartoons. I play games anyway. So to me, the art style looks beautiful. I don't know how big this game is and what this game actually is. It just looks fantastic. So it could be a 10-hour experience that is absolutely beautiful. Remember, what is it? Breath of the Wild was in development hell for like years upon years.
Yes.
So when it finally made its way to the Switch, I think it was like a 4 or 5 year dev cycle. So I need to hear more from Rare. I have a fondness for Rare in their old days. I know it's a completely different studio now. I enjoy Sea of Thieves with Luke. But it's, it is what it is. I need to see more. I'm not like, on a hype wagon, but once I see gameplay and once I get, or at least get an idea of what this game's going to be about, I'm all in. Let's do it. And it's not Game Pass. I already got it. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of Rare. I go all the way back to, the Super Nintendo, with, Donkey Kong, I go all the way back to all of their platformers, which I still love. I'm still holding out that someone is going to bring us a proper Banjo-Kazooie 3E or a reboot of the original, whatever you want to do. Just give us a new Banjo-Kazooie with beautiful graphics, and I'm okay. Even if you only release one, I think it's going to do well. In regards to this game, first of all, like I was saying earlier, Breath of the Wild is still one of my favorite games of this generation. Yeah. It's a game I put over 100 hours into. It's a game that found a way to make a 40-something-year-old man sit in front of a cauldron and just keep cooking and cooking and cooking and just having just a simplistic fun, but at the same time offered a tremendous battle system that challenged you as a gamer, especially when you get towards the end of the game. And if Rare could somehow borrow or steal some of that magic and give some of their own into a game that is, in the typical Rare fashion, gives us this big epic adventure where they give a very strong single player game, but also on the back end gives you an opportunity as a gamer to invite your friends on your adventure, I think would be epic. But you know what? We're here to talk about predictions, and that's what we're going to go into next. But before we do, I have to, of course, thank a couple of people in the super chats. As we close in on 500 people, I Am Bear 999 drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this: Mark Cerny and Yoshida will both be gone stage right after PS5 launch. The entire old regime has been shown the door. Take it to the bank. # cleaning house. It's possible. They are the last of the Mohegans, so to speak. And if this doesn't go off without a hinge, I can see them cleaning house. Now, I don't know necessarily with Mark. Mark Cerny is the designer. He has been for quite some time. He is a brilliant man, not a great speaker to us gamers. And now, if we had our development hats on and he was speaking to us, we would, from what I understand, speaking to several developers that I know, we would have been impressed, because Mark Cerny is that type. I mean, he is that type of speaker where he's not made to speak. He's not a rah-rah guy to speak to the PlayStation fan base. He's just not made that way. He's made to tell us what his design ideas or ideologies will do for them as developers.
He also doesn't work for Sony.
Well, he doesn't. Yeah, he's a consultant, folks. Yeah. So he doesn't. So, I mean, they could fire him as a consultant, but I don't necessarily know if they would. And JD Gamer, once again, proves that his generosity is undeniable. He drops a $10 super chat and says this: Phil Dominus Maximus, soon to be Aurelius, will set up on stage with Jeff Keighley, and just as he did with Sean Layden and Reggie Fils-Aimé, Phil will be the last man standing. Phil will stand higher. I love it. That's funny. King actually always brings it up that he's the last man standing. But you know what? Let's get into the nitty gritty, if you will, of why everyone is here. You know, we advertise this as a prediction show, and the way we're going to break it down is very simple. We're each going to start out at number 5, working our way down to number 1. We're each going to take a turn, and we're going to kind of go round robin until we're done with all of the topics. So, being the host of the show, I think it's only fair that I go last. So I'm going to start with Luke. Luke, what is your top 5? Well, not 5, but what is your number 5 pick for what you're expecting on Thursday's show?
Okay. Before I share, do any of these need to be in a certain order, like most likely, less likely?
Luke, just say Batman.
All right. So my first prediction for this show, I already mentioned, and it's that Jeff Keighley will be mentioned by name. Okay. As a building relationship. At some point they will discuss the Summer Game Fest, and recognize that they are kicking it off in a similar way to the way they kick off E3, and they're trying to show that they're working with them. They want to build relationships any and all places that they can. And so I believe they'll mention Keighley by name, and we see relationships being built in that front. So that was what I mentioned earlier, and that's why I'm knocking that one out of the park early. And again, make sure you spell my name right on Twitter, guys. If you're going to send me your hate mail, bring it.
Bonus
500 people mad at me.
I don't necessarily think there would be any hate mail. To be honest with you, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It seems, again, Jeff Keighley is going to be a powerful force moving forward. And we all know, folks, whether you believe this or not, a lot of these developers / publishers, like the Nintendos, like the Xboxes, and like the PlayStations, they're not big fans of the ESA. The ESA has done themselves no favors over the last couple of years, shooting themselves in the foot time and time again. And it makes you wonder that if Jeff Keighley, who, again, publicly left them altogether, might have come to all of these developers / publishers and said, listen, the ESA sucks. They charge a lot of money. We have a way to do it better, and come over here. And I think that what Luke is saying is probably going to be done up on stage where, maybe he introduces the event. Maybe he's because we know that it's part of it. He's already said it, that it's a part of Summerfest, and we're kicking and it's kicking Summerfest off this Thursday. So great point. Mr. Badbit, what is your number 5 pick for what you're expecting?
I got one question for you. Do you want tame or do you want saucy? Do you want something realistic?
I want saucy. I want outrageous. I think
brought both as well.
Outrageous.
All right, guys, fellas, strap yourselves in. Okay, we're doing this. EA does not have any games coming this holiday other than Madden and FIFA. Okay, they got nothing. They have, though, an IP that they need to show off, that they need to prove to Disney.
I know what it is.
Yeah, Luke, buckle up, because we're in for Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Oh, that's a great pick. Holy matrimony. I love it.
You know that Xbox has now, it looks like, the marketing rights to Star Wars ever since Fallen Order. Let's get a Rogue Squadron in there. Let's see how the SSD and smart delivery, all that jazz, plays into a Rogue Squadron total reboot game.
And they had that good Starfighter Assault foundation from Battlefront.
Exactly. And we can maybe even assume that Criterion is working on that game. I know Jason Schreier said they're working on something that is very different than what was previously supposed to be. So
very different sounds like Rogue Squadron to me. Yeah, that's a fantastic pick. Now here's mine. Here's my number 5 pick. And once again, even though we're not having an official E3, I'm going down this rabbit hole, and more than likely will be wrong. But I don't give a shit, because I've been wrong for 4 years running. I figured, what the F? Let's do let's go for a 5er. And I'm picking that Splinter Cell makes a surprise appearance at the show with Sam Fisher talking about the world and how it's dangerous and has changed over the course of the last, 5 or 10 years from the last Splinter Cell. Michael Ironside will return to voice the character, and it will end with the iconic sound of the night vision goggles being turned on, and that is going to happen at the end of the show. Hey, like that gave me goosebumps, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to know that.
It gave me goosebumps. Good stuff right there, man. I like that. And it makes sense because Ubisoft's got more to show this summer. And if this is kicking off the hype, we know that Ironside was on an Inside Xbox a few months ago. That's not a bad thought, Boom.
How you like them apples? Those are my detective deducing skills, if you will. Or deductive skills, I should say. So, Luke, what is your number 4 pick for what you think is going to happen at the event on Thursday?
All right. Now, so I coupled mine with likely, less likely in the same thing. So I think Marvel's Avengers will be a smart delivery title and cross-generation in there. And less likely in that, but all the more exciting, is that Xbox has an exclusive character. Because I would expect Spider-Man to kind of go to Sony on that one.
Yeah, I'm expecting that too.
That's kind of my thought. Is I bet you see just Spider-Man just on Sony. So if Microsoft gets an exclusive character, I would think that one of powerful caliber, Black Panther.
Oh, that's a great character, dude. That'd be a fantastic get for them. Absolutely fantastic.
And then, put people on the fence. Who are you gonna choose? And that'd be a fun one.
Yeah, you know that's a strong pick. I've been calling for a Marvel exclusive for months now. I've actually done. I've written I think 2 or 3 original topics just based on that, where we've gone over how I feel. I know, like for instance, Zemi, who couldn't be here today, has been against the idea. He doesn't like the exclusives thing, but I think that at this point, Spider-Man is a strong, steadfast IP, and it's going to be locked in for Sony. It only seems like it would be good marketing or good businessing, if you will, to have Marvel team up with Xbox with a specific character the same way.
Yep.
All right. Well, good pick. Mr. Badbit, what is your number 4 pick?
All right, this one's for you, Benji Sales, because you and me, we think alike, and that is Bandai Namco, From Software, and George Railroad Martin are out here. We're going to finally see something about the Elden Ring, and something tells me it's also kind of Norse-ish. We know that From Software is working on 2 mystery games. Real talk, right? So we know now one of them is Elden Ring. I want to know how Miyazaki and in George Railroad Martin are writing this together and how the story is going to lay out, because is it going to be a more linear story like we've seen with Sekiro, or are we going to see something more abstract and obscure like something from Dark Souls or something like Bloodborne?
That's interesting. That is a very interesting take.
And I'll even do an even bigger leap, okay, because it's been 1,871 days since the launch of Bloodborne. You're also going to see From Software on whatever state of play Sony's doing. You're going to see Bloodborne 2. You're going to see Elden Ring, and they're going to be like a year apart from each other. And I'm just going to be in heaven.
Yeah, I think most people will be in heaven. People will be passing out. You're going to have to use get an abundance of smelling salts, because people are going to be passing out left and right.
Sorry, guys, I fell asleep just now. What were we talking about? Something important?
It's funny, Luke. You're hilarious. Next one.
No, okay. Well, listen. Here's my number 4 pick, and this is gonna come off as no surprise if anyone has been following me or tuned in to Double Barrel Gaming for a while. And I will say this: Team Ninja will team up with Microsoft to reboot Ninja Gaiden, the franchise that started it all on the OG Xbox, and bring back Ryu Hayabusa, making him a household name once again.
Are they going to keep that difficulty?
Probably.
Okay, am I allowed to have one curse?
He just talked about Bloodborne, folks.
All right, fuck that.
That's
I hate Ninja Gaiden, guys.
I actually beat Ninja Gaiden Black on the hardest difficulty. Wow. I have you know. Yes, I loved and hated that game at the same time, and it is still one of my. What upsets me is that there's no way for me to say it or show it other than me saying it. So people are like, I don't believe you, boom. Well, listen.
Now, Bit, have you considered getting good?
I have over here. I have considered getting good. I've talked to a few folks about it. We'll see. Okay.
Well, listen. Let's move on to number 3. Luke, what is your number 3 pick, more or less, for what you are expecting on Thursday's show?
Okay. Previously, at least 2 previously unannounced PlayStation exclusive. Let me rephrase that. Previously exclusive games to PlayStation will be coming to Xbox, and I'm thinking more Yakuza games, Judgment, perhaps, and I think that they will make their way into Game Pass as well. And on the less likely side, we see some Atlas games make their way into the Xbox side as well. Now, I know that's Sega, but they've been all over on PlayStation a bit. Microsoft's been courting that market. If we see previously exclusive PlayStation titles make their way over to PlayStation, those are good candidates for it. Persona 5 would be a huge get. It's unlikely, but
again, we'll never see it coming.
If I put it this way, if they went up on that stage and said that Persona 5 was coming, and it was going to be a launch title for the Series X Enhanced or something, man, that would knock the doors off the stage, like for real. Like I know a lot of people like, well, it's a Japanese game, it's not my bag, boom. okay, it may not be your bag, but it's someone's bag. And quite frankly, P5 for Sony, I think it only sold a couple of million. It should have sold more, but it is a very niche title.
And those games sold well over on PlayStation, and that's
They sure did.
on Xbox. Probably it's not your bag.
Consoles, by the way, yes, they move consoles. More importantly,
yeah. You guys hear me okay? Because the thing just did something weird.
Yeah, can you take your mic out of your mouth?
It kind of blew my ear out there, but now you sound normal.
Am I normal? Okay.
Yes, you're back to normal. So let's get your number 3 pick, Joe. What are you expecting or predicting on Thursday?
My prediction is Luke's gonna stop being mean to me, or else I'm gonna cry. No. You know what? I'm gonna steal this from you, Luke. I'm sorry.
No. I know what he's doing. I know it.
Batman, dude.
Okay,
listen, I gave you like 3 spots to do it. Right? You didn't do it.
I was saving it.
Well, and listen, it's gonna be Court of Owls. It's not gonna be an Arkham game. It's gonna be something different. It's gonna be different voice actors because listen, they're all getting old and they're getting expensive. So to me, I think this is definitely a new Batman series at the same exact time. Maybe it's not even Bruce Wayne. Maybe it's Dick Grayson. Who knows? But what I do know is that Microsoft needs a superhero presence.
Yes,
as we've seen PlayStation kind of corner the market with Spider-Man.
And they had the marketing rights to Batman, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, and they did. And they even had like that special edition PlayStation.
Yes.
This is a great way. WB, listen, WB is like a kid in college. It goes both ways, right? They don't care wherever the money is, that's where they're going. So to me, when I'm thinking WB, I'm thinking Xbox is going to give them a huge bucket load of cash so that they also have
with a lot of zeros. Yes,
exactly. So that they have the assumption that they too have a big superhero game in their corner as well. I definitely think they need that market.
Now I'll jump in. I want to, because Aiden Williams gave us a super chat a while back, said he loved Arkham Knight. That's my favorite game of this generation. Is that, and I think that this Batman game, I think it'll only be teased in this one if it's there. It won't be shown. It'll be teased for later on. But it would be a great platform to bring in more stories. So if you have your main story and then a lot of the season pass stuff for Arkham Knight and City and Origins gave you story DLC, they could do story DLC for more characters in the Bat family.
Yes, which if you read the Court of Owls, it heavily it's heavily involved with the entire Bat family. I mean, we're talking everybody. Batwoman, the Oracle, everybody.
Now tell me this, Boom. What if we get that WBTs for Batman and then Rocksteady's game is in the universe and connected, but
that
not
would be
the
huge.
same thing?
Yeah, dude.
Lose it, Boom.
That would be, let me tell you something, that would be epic for a lot of reasons, because you would have a universe spanning 2 games from 2 different companies. And that would be, again, it would be unlike anything we've ever seen before. Joe, I'm going to say this about Joe's pick. First of all, I'm shocked that this is at number 3. This to me is a number 1 pick. I'm interested to know what 2 and 1 are. So let me give you my number 3 pick. The Microsoft and Sega connection was and has been very strong during the OG Xbox days and was made even stronger through the Xbox 360 era. For my 3rd pick, I'm going to say that Sega is going to be bringing back an old IP in new ways. The question is what? So here is my opinion on that. I believe, and I'm going way out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that I believe that they're going to redo or reboot Jet Set Radio and bring that to the Xbox Series X as a launch, not a launch title, as an exclusive. That's my number 3 pick. Again, going out on a bit of a limb, but you know what? I'm willing to take risks. Luke, what is your number 2 pick, sir?
Oh man, it truly was Batman. It was that we see the Batman tease. It's not the full reveal. I think you'll also see a Star Wars tease and not a full reveal. We're a bit tied in on that one, and it's the idea that we see games shown first on Xbox's stage, but to get us excited for more stuff coming down the line in Summer Game Fest. So I think you see some Star Wars from EA and they say more EA play. I think you see a Batman tease and they say, all right, more on this date. But it's the idea that it's on the very first next gen showcase with Microsoft, that Series X power optimized for Series X. That's the excitement part there. And I don't think we'll see Rocksteady, but oh, my fingers are crossed.
That's a big one. All right, that's a very strong pick. So Mr. Badbit, what is your number 2 pick?
All right, now here comes just like I'm just like subtly leading this out, right? I had all the heavy hitters in the beginning because I'm really good at pacing. So first, let's talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla for a second, right? This for me, we're going to see a side-by-side Series X, Xbox One. It's kind of like here's what the game will run at. With the Xbox One, and then kind of like a Digital Foundry, here's how this game is going to be improved upon by the Series X. So you're kind of doing the marketing for both versions or both ports at the same exact time. And I want to see more so than anything how a current gen / next gen game, how the load times truly are, because I wasn't impressed with what I saw load screen wise, right? I'm like, oh, state of what is it, State of Decay, meh, whatever, it's a couple years old. Let me see something that is going to truly blow my mind if we're seeing this game being loaded up in an instant. No dumb tip screen about like, hey, you could swing your sword in Assassin's Creed. None of that dumbness. That's what I want to see. I want to see a side-by-side of a current gen game that's coming out this holiday with alongside the Series X.
So wait, when you say side-by-side, you're trying to like the Xbox, like a smart deliver, like here on Xbox One X it loads and here on Series X. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what Daddy wants. That's what Daddy needs.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. That's a strong point. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be doing that. I know we're going to get, we're getting the version that you're going to get when the console launches. I know that we're going to see it in all its glory. We're going to see the ray tracing maxed out to whatever it's going to be. I mean, could it sell more consoles if you say, well, if you have an X and you play it here, this is what it's going to look like. But if you have a Series X, well, we have something for you. And they load the game and it's 45 seconds. It's good and bad at the same time, because when you do that, even though you have the smart delivery system, I think you're kind of slam dunking your current console in the toilet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily, that's again, it's putting light on your new console. That's great. But I think by putting the bad light on your current console when they're just about to launch a Series X special edition in Cyberpunk, the custom console, I don't know. That would be a bad look, in my opinion. Right. So I would like for them to see, just to show us the game running and show us the in and out menus. Okay, we loaded up, game starts, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
My number 2 pick is going to be something that Luke touched on. I believe that every game that's going to be shown off is going to be pushed heavily as to be a part of the smart delivery system. Not only is Microsoft going to double down on the notion that this will be an important part of the Xbox brand moving forward, but that third-party developers and their games will display and play the best on this console, but will not deter you from buying it, because wherever you play it, wherever you buy it for the Xbox, like if you buy it for the Xbox One, that game is going to come forward and look 10 times better on your X. And I think they're going to drive that point home. And more specifically, everyone that's going to be shown off at this event is going to be a part of that, really driving the smart delivery ideology home. I think that's going to be big for them. So now we're going to go to the number 1 pick. Luke, what is your number 1 pick for what you're expecting on Thursday?
Titanfall 3. No,
my God! Don't make me collapse
for Titanfall.
I know. Oh gosh, I'll tell you what, man. I thought about all these realistic series. I was like, Crimson Skies 2. We see Titanfall 3. Will Jason Schreier cancel games? I don't know. But realistically, I think, and this one is not exciting, and I'm so sorry, dear people. But I think that a lot of what you see, the release dates are going to be vague windows as opposed to dates. Very vague windows. And they're going to be letting you know on that month-by-month update basis. It's going to be very vague stuff. And I know that's not a juicy, exciting betting prediction, but I think you're going to say this holiday, still in October, November, Windows, because they just don't see, we just don't have enough information on that. And like, I'm all for the Anthem re-showing. Let's see that if it's ready, but it's not. I want to see Titanfall 3. It's not in production. Crimson Skies. I want the cool stuff, but it's just not. I don't have anything else that I know about. Truly.
Right.
All right. I mean, that's strong. That's a strong pick. What for you, Mr. Badbit, what is your number one pick, sir?
My number one pick. Let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077 for a second here. It kind of goes on to the point we've talked about earlier, right? About smart delivery. So here's the thing we know about Cyberpunk 2077. It is not like a launch game for Xbox, right? CD made that pretty clear that this version of the Xbox Series X or Series X version is not in November. It's going to be sometime in 2021. They're going to try to utilize the best of the system rather than to give us a lazy port or something up-resed. So what I do think is Cyberpunk 2077, we will see early footage of this game utilizing the power of the Xbox Series X.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, I think we're going to see them go, okay, and we need to make the messaging clear. This is in 2021, because I see a lot of messaging right now where people are assuming it's a launch game, where you read their memo that they had internally. This is a 2021 game. So it's for Series X and PS5. So it's going to be enhanced. We're going to see the first enhanced look at it, while at the same time making sure that they're really nailing the message here. And I think this is the most important thing. Is smart delivery means more than what I think a lot of I'll just say it, Sony fans are trying to give credence to. For me, this is a huge deal. For me, this is what console am I gonna pick? This is it. This is the decision, because I don't want to pay twice for Cyberpunk 2077. I bought the game already. I'm tired of doing that. I don't want to pay $10 for the up-res version. I just want the up-res version. And I think, like PCs have kind of taught us that way of thinking. And I think it's a great way of thinking. It's a consumer friendly way of thinking. So Xbox is nailing this messaging so far of smart delivery, because I think they think PlayStation won't do it. And I think if they don't, it is the biggest mistake that they're going to make.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that if you're going to charge your consumers twice for the same game, that is going to be disastrous for Sony. Yep. Now, real quick, Kay Asante drops an outstanding, very generous $2 super chat and says this: "Boom! You just made my day. Jet Set Radio for the win." Yes, I agree. That is a underrated game. Still looks amazing. The Board Game Renegade drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat, says this: "Why does nobody say Shinobi when talking old school IP? Wow, a new Shinobi would be dope." Well, listen, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
My last pick was Batman. But I don't want to talk about Batman because we talked about it already. You guys talked about it, and Court of Owls and blah, blah, blah. So
I'll talk about Batman all day, Boom.
Yeah, I know. And I think we could easily talk about Batman, but I'm going to change my pick. And I actually have a double pick. One is a ridiculous one, and one makes a lot of sense. Very suspiciously, Red Dead Redemption 2 goes into Game Pass on the 7th. It just so happens that they're having the third-party event to show what a game looks like running on the Series X. It would behoove Microsoft to say, "Hey, guess what? You get to play Red Dead if you're a Game Pass subscriber for the absolute price of nothing. Just go download it. But by the way, we're going to give you a current gen game and show you what that looks like running on the Series X." Mind's blown, mic drop, run away. But guess what? I have another one. And this one, Randall Thor was talking about it, and I agree with him. It was a pick I already had, so I'm going to co-sign this pick with Randall Thor, a good friend of the show, and I'm going to say this, and this is the big one, folks. Dying Light 2 is going to be huge when it gets here. Now, we know Dying Light 2 currently had 2 delays. One, the original delay, because the game wasn't done. And they were very upfront about that. There was technical issues that they just could not wrap their minds around, and they delayed it. Though there was a second delay that there came no explanation. And here is mine. The second delay has come forth because Microsoft purchased Techland. And at the end of the event, they're going to show Dying Light 2. They're going to show it running on the Series X. And then as the lights close out, they're going to say, now a part of Xbox Game Studios, Dying Light 2, an exclusive for this console. Drop the mic, cut the lights off, pack your tail between your legs, and go to F home. The party's over. That's all I'm going to say.
Breaking news for Game Pass for PC. Halo 2 anniversary. Oh, sorry. Let me
do the voice. Do the voice.
This comes via Xbox Game Pass for PC. Halo 2 anniversary coming May 12th. CC Ninja. Oh, please don't.
Again, breaking news once again. Halo Champ. What was it? Halo 2, the anniversary edition coming to Xbox. That's big. That's big because that's going to look amazing on PC. If you are part of the PC Master Race, and we have quite a few people that are part of that community, guess what? You get to play Halo 2 in the best looking way possible. But I'll say this. Look, folks, we are an hour and 40 minutes into the show. I actually went longer than I thought it was. I thought we were only going to do an hour, and then we had all this breaking news, and I had to throw Everwild in there. And this has been a great top 5. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. Of course, I want to say thank you to all the outstanding and very generous super chats, folks. You don't understand. It really does not only help me, do more giveaways, which I have a bunch of stuff coming towards, during the Summerfest, but it helps me personally, and it is truly and honestly and greatly appreciated. Of course, I could not have a channel if it wasn't for this outstanding community, and we had nearly 500 people show up today live in the chat, and I want to thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button on your way out. If you didn't, well, give me the thumbs down button. I suppose that is, I guess, traffic, good or bad traffic. It's just traffic. And, if you want to, help me out and put this out on social media, let people know that this show exists and the channel exists, it would be greatly appreciated. But let's get into the outros, and we'll start with Luke. Luke, first of all, you brought your A game once again. Love the energy and entertainment that you have in tow every time you're on one of the shows. But I want to hear more about what you have going on your Xbox Expansion podcast, which is fantastic. Tell people where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, tune in to your weekly show.
Oh, thank you, Boom, man. It's a pleasure to be here every single time to chat with you guys, debate with you guys, and go toe-to-toe on the topics. It's a blast. You can find me weekly on the Xbox Expansion Pass on all your podcast services. It is a weekly deep dive into kind of the ecosystem of Xbox and how the news is impacting it. You will not hear fanboy takes on things. You will not hear me arguing or dissing other systems. That's not how I operate. And then I also like to bring in guests to expand our knowledge on the gaming verse. We had most recently on this most recent episode, the people behind Gamers Outreach, who works to bring.
Oh, that's a great program.
Absolutely. They put Xboxes in hospital rooms for kids who are there long term. So Zach Weigel, the founder of Gamers Outreach, came on the show and talked about his program and how we can help to continue raising awareness for that. I recently had Mike Bithell on. He just put out John Wick Hex over on PS4. Andrew Renee, Steven Spawn have all been on the show. So that's the Xbox Expansion Pass on all your podcast services. And then you can find me on Twitter and send all your hate mail at Insipid Ghost. And remember, all of my bad ideas were Mr. Bad Bits, and all the good ones were mine.
Nice. Well, that's good way to close it out. Blame someone else. That's always the way. And Mr. Bad Bit, listen, you, my friend, are no slouch. You have an exciting and very respectable podcast known as the Trophy Room. And I got to tell you something, even if you are not the biggest Sony fan, I think that there's a lot to listen to. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media. And of course, check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, man, I've designed the Trophy Room so that though it's a PlayStation focused podcast, you can listen to it whether you're playing PC, Xbox, Nintendo. It's all about the conversation, and that You can find it on my YouTube channel as well as podcast services wherever you can find them. But Bad Bit Games, we talk about all things game news, reviews, and unboxings. You can find me at Mr. Badbit. And yeah, if you're even more stoked for the Trophy Room, PS Trophy Room on Twitter as well. So yeah. Oh, I should note as well, we're doing a Road to Greatness where me and my best friend Kyle are going to break down Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2 for the month of May and the month of June. And then July, we're closing the show out with Ghost of Tsushima. So very excited about all that. Very excited for the future of Xbox, for the future of PlayStation, for the future of games, man.
Yes, that's a great point. Again, at the end of the day, regardless of what flag you fly, there's games for everyone. And if you can, again, not in everybody's wheelhouse, afford to game on multiple consoles, you really do win as a gamer. It gives you an opportunity to experience multiple titles across 3 platforms, and really does open your eyes to what something that you might have thought may not be for you, you couldn't wind up enjoying. And I think you're going to find experiences on each console that that you're going to enjoy more than something else. But more importantly, this is an Xbox show, and of course, the Xbox is in fact the best box, and they're going to prove it this fall. But I want to thank everybody for being here once again, and of course, my panel of superstars. Thank you, gentlemen. Everyone, enjoy your day, enjoy your week. Get ready for Thursday. We're going to have a big post talk show breaking down all of the big news from Microsoft's Thursday digital event. So that show will go live directly as soon as the Microsoft show ends. And I don't know if that's going to be 60 minutes or an hour and a half. They haven't really said, but we are going live directly after. So tune in at whether it be 12 or 12:30. We're going to break down everything. And of course, everyone, I'll close out the show with something that my dad taught me. Some people think it's campy. Some people think it's nerdy, but it made me a better police officer. And he taught me this: treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by these rules, and I can guarantee you are going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you Thursday afternoon.